Welcome to another recording of video. This is how I will fix or would fix uh Velma edition. And for once we're actually talking about the main character. Um Also, now that I think I should make a thing like how you dub your series. How I would, and then I go like this. That is something I need to talk about. Anyways, um, as I was saying, we're now talking about the titular character of Velma. We are 2 episodes into this in particular part, so I feel like I don't need to repeat myself again. Um, but yeah, so I hope y'all enjoy this, and let's get off by starting with what went wrong with the character. Now, in most of these parts, we do touch upon like some of what's wrong with their characters, but typically we don't really say what's wrong with their character. And we're not going to this time because she is the main character of the show, so you do would like to know what's wrong with her. First of all, let's start with the fact that she is dumb. Now that 1 minute more have passed, she is dumb as hell in particular. Like, she is not that smart in the show. Her jokes aren't funny. She's a smart ass, but it's not like a good type of smart ass. Her pretty much her own like her mom hate her because she was an annoying kid, which is so weird because you would think for anyone in the show, like if you're gonna take a Scooby Doo cast member and throw a dart and be like, which one do you think their family hate them? As a kid, you would probably be like Shaggy. Like you, if you said someone family hit them out, you probably say Shaggy versus Velma. But no, apparently her mom hated her so much because of the fact that she wouldn't stop bugging her and keep asking her questions. And then she also like is bad at solving mysteries. I don't think there's a single mystery that she actually solved, but I guess it all can't be perfect. Um, but I will make it perfect. That's a joke. But it would definitely be better. Because first of all, let's start with one of the key things about Velma. She's super smart. The thing is though, like, she is like a super genius. She have a lot of information on a bunch of things. She's also a bookworm. You know this because of the fact that in most medias actually, I think Mystery Incorporated is the only one that if they showcase like what they're doing outside of solving mysteries. She's opened up a bookshop most of the time. Maybe one particular case of that I can recall off the top of my head, it is Return to Zombie Island. I don't think in the first Zombie Island, but I think I know that in Return to Zombie Island she is a book, like she owns her own bookstore. And then I think in Mystery Incorporated, she's a scientist, right? But yeah, she's like a literal super genius. In particular, she seems to specialize in programming. She seems to really be good at like finding evidence. Uh, so I guess forensics, and then she just knows a bunch of science. And stuff. Like she also does seem to some knowledge in mechanical mechatronic engineering, being like, yeah, I know it uses this mechanism, this mechanism, so we could tell it was you. Also, your height increase. Stilts, baby. Easy solution. Um, but yeah, like she is a super genius. But there are also other things to consider about her characters. So the first thing is one thing the show did get right. I'm not sure if this happened before or after, but at least the one from like was new Scooby Doo is confirmed to at least be gay. I'm not sure if she's bisexual because I don't know if there's any point in that front like that series of movies or whatnot where it's like she's showing attraction to a guy. But at least in that one, she is gay, and she's also like straight in what's it called? She's straight in Mystery Incorporated, at the bare minimum. Also in the movies, the live action movies in particular. The reason I pointed it out is because they made her gay in the show, so I guess that's actually a good. Like they actually did something accurate for once. Um, but yeah, so uh, she is gay slash straight, maybe bisexual. I don't know. But she's also like so depending on what series you go with, one of the common traits that they kind of have is that Velma have some insecurities about her smartness. There is often showcased that she's not insecure about how smart she is, but it's like take for instance, I forgot which space movie it is, but one of the space movies where Daphne get a higher score than her, that was like a really important thing for her because she was like I'm supposed to be the smart one. If I'm not the smart one, I have nothing, right? Um, so it's like a really important thing for her because she struggled with femininity and the appearance of femininity, especially when you compare someone like Daphne, who it just come naturally to her. Um, she also just like struggles with relationships in general. Um, Outside of the fact that she seems to have like social anxiety because she doesn't really like talk to people, and is an introvert definitely. She also is like it's not necessarily that she can't give people hints, but like sometimes the person she with just she doesn't she kind of seems to have a thing where it's like not good with communicating, whether it be on her side or the other person's side. Like take for instance Shaggy, that other white guy from the live action movie, they just couldn't get hints. But like when that one girl came in, like that was definitely like you can deliver a hint. But yeah, no, like she does seem to also have this weird social interaction. Another thing is, depending on which media is, there is a level of jealousy. It ranges differently. So like they had a live action movie with her, Daphne and Velma, and like she was really jealous throughout the show and seemed like a dickhead. But another thing is that Velma is a smart ass, right? Like she does make smart ass comments, but it's not like to the level it was in the show. These are all like core characteristics. Also, I like to mention that like they really don't place any specific like stress on her parents. Like even in Mystery Inc. Incorporated, where their parents are included in the lore, parents are way less important. Like yeah, no, Fred parents are the most important ones, but like her parents don't really get much coverage there. Um, so there's not really any media that like really have her parents, and so they're not really like a big part of it. But yeah, so let's get into what I would change. Or in like the changes and whatnot. So first of all, like I said, I like to try to keep this somewhat to what Velma had in mind. So I would make her Indian. Um, I don't know too much about the Indian culture, so I'm not gonna touch upon like if there should be any cultural aspect of that. I know more about Asian culture and whatnot, but not as much about Indian culture. I'm not an expert on either one. It's just that like I actually study. Like I don't just I'm not just someone watching anime. Like watch videos about like culture, Japan and whatnot. Like I actively study that. I need to get back into doing it, but like I actively do it versus Indian where it's like not really. Um, but yeah, to continue on in words. So let's keep her Indian. Now, one thing I would say is I would probably not make her fat. Well, there's nothing wrong with her being fat. It's just like the main reason why she's fat is one is a self insert. Not to be rude to the person did it like is inserting themselves, but they are kind of on the. At least last time I saw them, they were like the kind of bigger side. But more importantly, it's like the only reason why she was fat is as a joke. Nothing else. It's literally just to make jokes about her being fat. And that's just not cool. Like, if you're gonna make her fat, you can include fat shaming. It is a thing that happened in real life and whatnot. It is a thing that happened nowadays. So you can include fat shaming as a part of it. As a matter of fact, you know what would have been a cool story arc? Instead of having that entire thing where they're teaching women how to defend themselves and it goes terribly, why not just replace that with the fact that people make fun of her for being fat? So she tried to work that out via exercise, but that's not a necessarily healthy way to go about it. You have to become accepting yourself. Like, yeah, working out is a good way to help build up confidence and lose fat, but at the same time, you're solely doing it because of the fact that people are like harassing you because of the way you look, and you're like, I gotta become bigger, like I gotta lose the fat and become more muscular. Then like you're gonna lose sense of yourself and only associate yourself with your physical appearance and put too much weight on it. Not to say there's anything wrong with like bodybuilding and whatnot. I'm saying like you got to be careful and whatnot, basically. And that could be a cool story arc. So her being fat can still be there, but like I just don't really see the purpose of it being there. It at least in the original show, they showed no purpose. And unless you're doing what I said to do, um, like I think you could do if you have like a story point of her being fat, that is a good point. You could also include the fact that like yeah, you could work out all you want, but you also gotta eat healthy too. So or like you can make a point with diet plans where it's like you would go into the diet plans and think that oh it's super easy to change, but they're not that easy. Or like some diet plans it's not you're not really changing your brain to alter it to liking these things. It's just that you don't have access to those things anymore, right? So like there are stories where you could go for her being bigger and work with that and making it important to the story, but it's simply because of the fact that it wasn't important to the story outside making jokes. I need to stop turning around as if I have a fucking whiteboard because it wasn't important to the story as if like outside making jokes about it. I don't think I'm gonna include it. Um, Also, because like one of those is just, I mean, yeah, it's personal growth, so I guess you could still show it. But one of those outcomes, maybe two of them, like a lot of those outcomes kind of lead to slim down. But like I don't like that's not important. Like you could even make a storyline where it's like she is upset, like okay, I mean they're just gonna call me whatever they want. I don't care anymore at this point. They've been saying this for years. I don't care. I could be healthier. I could eat healthier food. I'm gonna start eating healthier food, but like I'm not gonna change my size and like start cutting and whatnot just so that I can appeal to these people. Like you could do stories like that too, or you could also do like a tropes version. Because like take for instance one of the jokes that they make is like, oh she's fat so she ran out of breath, right? And you can do a tropes version where it's like, no, just because they have like fat on me doesn't mean that like I can't run. It doesn't mean that I'm less athletic than anyone else. Granted, I don't think she should be too athletic because like that is a like in the actual like outside Velma, that is like a thing about her character. Like she is athletic, definitely, but not to like a extreme extent. She's also just ridiculously blind. I forgot to mention that, but I feel like yeah, you know Scooby Doo Velma, you know Velma's ridiculously blind. Like one of the jokes in every series is I can't see without my glasses. I am so glad now that I think. I am so glad now that I think about it that they did not make her Asian because I can just imagine how many racist jokes they would have made in the show. Like I just thought about that for 1 second, and I'm like, oh, thank God they didn't make her Asian. But yeah, no, everyone knows that stereotype, so I didn't really include it. But like, I'm not gonna make her back because me personally, I don't care. And also, it's just more faithful to the original source material. But like, you can make her back. It doesn't matter. Same thing with sexuality. Now, the story there is a point for her being gay is the fact that she like Daphne, and like, yeah, go for it. You can make her gay, or you can make her bisexual. You can make her gay, bisexual, straight. I don't care. I do not care. Yeah, in fact, I would argue that like a lot of edition of Velma also is borderline is asexual and aromantic. Like a lot of people think like, oh, there's a romantic interest in between like Shaggy and Velma, but like I feel like a lot of times that's just association because like you have Daphne and Fred, so then you have Velma and Shaggy. Just makes sense. And like sometimes that is official, but then other times I just feel like it's like no, it's not really there. Um, like there's some points where she doesn't seem to show any interest in any uh appeal, whether it comes to physical or not, or romantical. So like you can even make her asexual or romantic. I guess the most interesting storyline would be like gay or lesbian types being a lesbian asexual. That could be a very interesting storyline. Being like, yeah, no, I like the romance. I like dating you and whatnot. I know I like to date girls. I'm not sexually attracted to anyone. That could be a very interesting storyline. Also, just so you are aware, asexuality is just you're not attracted to sexual appeal for the most part. Like you find little to no sexual appeal. So like take for instance, like the stereotypical model pose. If you're asexual, you gotta have like a stereotypical buff guy that like let's say everyone find universally attractive like Ryan Reynolds, right? And then you got like someone else that female people find stereotypically attractive like Emma Stone, right? You got both of them, and you just like, no, I don't see I'm not romantically sexually attracted at all. That is pretty much asexuality, and you can be asexual while being like gay, because like asexuality is little to no sexual appeal. It has nothing to do with like who you love. I just wanted to express that because some people don't believe asexuals are a thing, and some people kind of get confused with aromanticism. So I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, back to it. That would be a very interesting point to have. But then let's get into like other character aspect of the show. So in the show, her mother's dead, not really dead, and her father is like trying to move on, but isn't. He's also what is that man? I don't recall what he was, but like he worked somewhere, and then he started dating a woman, and then they have a kid, right? So those are like that's the main thing with her family. So the first thing I will change is her mother still leaves. I think 100% that you can make an interesting story the mother still leaves. It has nothing to do with the fact that she hates her because of how annoying she is. It could just be as simple, or as I envision it, is she could just be kind of psychopathic, or I'm gonna I'm gonna mention this because I want to be correct. That's you could be like Dexter case sociopathic. Dexter's not a psychopath. He's a sociopath. He was not born that way. He was traumatized as a baby. Sociopathism. Um, but like she just didn't care for her enough, and she rather care more about like the science and research she was doing. I will get into that later. Um, oh, that's my phone. You were saying? It was an incorrect survey. But I will get that into Shaggy and Scooby Doo part. But like I think she could still leave them, and it was for the pursuit of science. And I think the way that she would do it is by faking her own death, or maybe like a event happened where it like she nearly died, but it was just like prime. Like it was like this is the perfect occasion for me to get away. That she did that, kind of like how she did in the show, but just a little different. Okay. Um, the reason why I say it's a little different is because like once again, the main reason why she left the Velma was because she was annoying as shit. That was like the reason. Um, and then her dad, right? I think her dad should be supportive. Her dad in the show is kind of supportive, but not really. But it's been literal years at this point since like her mother disappeared, right? And like he's supportive of her, like, yeah, you're good, you're good, you got this, we can do this. While also trying to be like, but like, I'm gonna move on. Like, your mother been gone for like 10 years at this point. It's safe to say, like, even if she isn't dead, she could have came back, but like, she's probably dead and whatever. Like, there are moments where everything's not very supportive, but for the most part, I think he was kind of like reasonably supportive. Um, but I don't recall the show that well. But yeah, I think that should be it's my hair. No, okay. That should be a roughly similar case for Velma, her dad, right? I think her dad will be supportive of her, but I'll also try not necessarily fully supportive of her. I think for the most, it'd be more like a lack of emotional support versus like a lack of support in general. So like he doesn't like, I'm trying to phrase like this. When her mother first disappeared, he could have gotten to not drinking. It could be drinking because that happens, and I'm pretty sure her dad in the show is alcoholic, so he could have gotten drinking, but he could have just like became more refrained from himself, trying not to show emotion outwardly, and then Velma kind of does the same thing where they're kind of like they aren't necessarily emotional people by nature, but they just bottle it up. And her father just didn't support her when she was trying to suffer for that and whatnot. And I think that'd be a good storyline. It can lead to a very dramatic moment. K-pop demon hunter moment, right? Where it's like she's like, why didn't you support me? Why didn't you try to help me when I was going through this loss? And he will be like, I did. And then she like, but not emotionally. Okay. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure you can't see it. I'm being on a tiny screen, so I just wasn't sure. But like, this wasn't emotionally that you supported me. And that could be a big, powerful moment and a progression moment for both of them. I do think that he would still try to move on because it has been 10 years at this point. Some people aren't faithful and loyal for that long, but he also came out like they're under the impression that she was murdered. Well, at least he is. So it makes sense that he'd be like, it's been like 10 years. If she isn't dead, she probably will make it. She'd be here now. Like, it's not likely that she got kidnapped. So, but I still think that he would also try to move on. That could cause some tension. But I think instead of it being like, you're going to be really moving up for mom, dad, it's like, it caused tension because it's weird for her. It would be weird for Velma for like all these. One thing they point out is that she's younger than her dad, which is like, I yeah, I guess that's the point you could point out, but there's nothing really wrong with it to some extent. I forgot what the age gap was, so maybe it was like an 18-year-old and he's like 40. In that case, it's like, that's weird, man. But like, I don't think it was that big. I think it was like, he's in his 30s and she's in her 20s. It's like, not that big. But like, it's just, even if you know that, it's just awkward because like, she didn't have a mom for like all these years, and now she suddenly will have one in her life. It would be weird, especially because it's like you're starting out high school with it. Think about like a Lemonade Mouth, where like I forgot what exactly the blonde haired guy didn't have a mom, but like he found it weird that his dad was dating his mom, and part of it was because how young she was, but then also I think part of it was like his mom was dead, or yeah, his mom was dead for like years, and like this is a sudden woman that came into his life, or more. I know actually, I think it was more like his mom been dead for years, but like his dad just keep getting more and more women that will eventually lead the kid life, and like you got a story like that too. It's a very interesting dynamic you have with it. It could be like this mother's like, I don't think she's gonna be here for long, and that's why she doesn't really support it. Or it could be a case of like it's just weird to her because of the fact that like it's the first time that she would have had mom. So it's like that's a very interesting story point you could have if handled correctly, unlike how the show did. Um, after the kid doesn't matter. The baby doesn't really matter, but like you can still have the baby. I do think that would be an interesting starting point to see how it could develop after this point. Like, take for instance, because um, my what my vision with the mother, right? The biological, like, Velma mom would be alive and would be like, what's jail, for example, right? But like, as a kid grew up, he would have to like deal with the fact that not only is he only the half sibling, but also could be tension between the fact that like that one mom was a murderer. Like, it was, like, even in the show, I'm pretty sure it's canonically a murderer, right? So it's like arguments they could have where it's like, well, I think my mother's a murderer and whatnot. So like it's actually interesting plot points you could have. um, but it's like it could be good. Right now, let's get into Velma character because I've been building up her family a lot because it's important. Let's start with one thing she has: anxiety attacks. She has anxiety and panic attacks, and especially hallucinated attacks. Which, fun fact, might be a Roanoke. Um, no. See, depression and hallucination are kind of two uh parts of the same coin. Is the best way to put it. I don't recall which way it is. I will say this, right? But take it with a grain of salt. So take it with a grain of salt. But essentially, depression is like the lack of um neurons firing, right? Versus hallucinations, where it's like the over firing your nervous system. So it's quite literally like you can't like it's one of those things where like they can't simultaneously have it at the same time. Whereas like you can't have a depressive streak and also be hallucinating at the same time. Unless it's some type of external force impacting like drugs. Um but I could be wrong. It could be something else. I know that hallucinogens are like the rapid activation of your nerves and like the increased activation of them, while the other one there's something else that's like the decrease of it, so you can't have it at the same time. Rono Jamie, I'm gonna at you. Tell me which one it is. Um, but yeah, no. Point is that there was actually no reason why we bring up. But outside of that, she had hallucinations. In particular, she had hallucination of her mom being like, "You didn't save me," ah! And I think that's dumb. I don't think she should have hallucination because, like, for instance, she could have faked the body, right? Or like she could have been in an area where it exploded. So like, she could be like, I saw this mangled corpse, and now it's haunting my dream because like, ah, the image of my dead mom in my head. I I hate the fact that I could this video will look a lot less dumb if I had any amount of drawing skills because I could like draw a skeleton like versus like just going at the camera. It's so dumb. But anyways, but yeah, like I can still see her having hallucinations, but it wouldn't be like her mother blaming her. Maybe a little bit of that, but I can see it more like her mother being like, "You didn't spend enough time with me," and like stuff like that, where it's like her having regrets because she has spent like not a lot of time with her, or being like, "You spent all this time investigating where I've been, but you still couldn't find me." And I think this will ramp up even more after she found her mother, which is something that doesn't happen. Like when she finds her mother, they go away. That should be the opposite. I think it was already going away beforehand, but like that should definitely be the opposite. Like I felt like, especially in that show, it should have ramped up even more because like one of the things about the hallucinogens were like the fact that it was insulting. You're like, you are dumb, you are useless, you can't solve my death. And I don't like you. And the cause of the hallucinations was whenever she tried to solve a mystery, which she's dumb. Um, but yeah, like I feel like she ramped up more. So yeah, it could also ramp up more during like when they find her. It's like realizing that like this false image that she had in her head was even more falsified than what she thought. Like, yeah, it's a false image. Her mother would never been like that. But then it's like, oh no, my mother would not have been like that. Not because of the fact like she cared for me, just because she didn't care for me actually, and that could like amplify it. Also, I would not have it be tied to like you know just like solving mysteries. I think it would just be like a thing that happens because that can just be a thing that happen. Like a little emotional moment here. The amount of times that like I have heard auditory hallucinations when I'm trying to go back to sleep, they ain't even memories. Like they're not even memories. It's legitimately like audio hallucinations. It's baffling. Like take for instance, sometimes I'll just be sitting there and I hear it, and like I 95% sure I'm just hearing auditory hallucination because like there comes to a certain point where it's like no one will say anything. It'd be the middle of the night. I hear someone call my name. There is literally like my mother call my name. Literally no way. That's like I'm hearing something. No, that's like a auditory hallucination. The point is, I was having like spring them randomly, and they're like maybe it's more centered around things that she would done with her mother. So like reading and whatnot. Like sometimes she struggled to read certain type of stories. So it could be like a mystery story thing where like her mother used to love reading her mystery stories. So like even though she can solve mysteries, like certain like reading mystery stories might cause her a little pain because of the fact that like her mother used to do that before she disappeared. Um, but yeah, like I think the hallucination could be an interesting thing. And like I would have her character arc focus on the mother, like trying to solve it and figuring it out. And then like what is the aftermath of her realizing her mother been alive and then but avoiding her and having to be like she helps to move on from it. And then also like how does she deal with the hallucinations? I tell you how. Shaggy. In particular Shaggy dad. There's a joke that Shaggy's a stoner and he's like, what? No, I would never do that. Right? In the show. But I'm gonna make that a different joke where it's like they think he's giving her weed because she own it, and he's like, "No, my dad's a psychologist." Yep, idiot. They're legally prescribed. And he's like, "I don't." It's like he's not like, "Oh, I don't smoke." It's like, no, these are legally prescribed to her. So I guess I am a drug dealer, but legally, I'm a legal drug dealer. I'm someone of a doctor. Some might say. Hmm. Yeah, I need someone to say I'm a doctor. Sometimes I just sit here and wonder, what am I doing? But anyway, I think her, because of traumatic experience, she would have a psychologist that would be dun dun dun. Scoop me a Shaggy Dad. Now, why is it Shaggy Dad? Because of the major story point that I'm thinking of that we won't get into until either the next part or well until because depending on what order you watch is different until we get into Shaggy part or I make a overall plot video. But yeah, to move on to the next point because like the story arc is kind of already there, just making it good. Also, I like to say like I like to include supernatural aspects in the show, so like it could be a cool thing in between a Dun type thing where it's like Velma does not believe in magic or supernatural shit at all, but Shaggy does, and you have a good reason to believe for it. Um, So like, there's this scene where the supernatural aspect come in, and they're like, Shaggy's like, "Oh, looky here! I guess I was right." And it's like not necessarily every time, but like let's say they like, there's a I don't know how, it's like it's just something that happens, and he's like, "Oh yeah, guess I was right," and they just look there and like, "Hey, I didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted to say that one time." Or like it could be a funny joke back to back, and then like also I think it could work because like her character disbelieving supernatural and learning that it's real could work, and then you could also add on to it being like, because it's the supernatural is still natural, it's still nature. Mean that there are laws that they apply by. Like just look at most myths and lores. like they follow certain rule set and laws. Like take for instance, in Japanese mythology, like this cup, if I just like bash it against a wall, breaking it, but I don't ever like throw it away, I just leave it sitting there for like years, it could become a yokai. And that's how some like a decent male yokai come out because it's like a lack of care and the lack of like paying attention to something. Um, so you know, it's like a rule set. So you're like, oh well, it's still just science. It's not explain science. You're just wrong. Yeah, I think that'd be a funny back to back where it's like Shaggy's like, there is supernatural. What are you talking about? That's a demon. And then she's like, no, according to the laws of physics, that's just from a different realm of substance, a different realm of visibility. Because of the fact that you can't normally see it, it is hard to tell that it's actually there. Because if you can't see something, then you could be in either state. Hence the Sherlock cat. I said the wrong thing. I'm on a team anyway. Uh, and then because of that, demons operate on the same principle of a quantum state, where because of the fact that they're not typically visible, because of the way that light reflect off of them, it means that typically they can be here, but we won't see them. In this case, because of the fact that we can see them because of these glasses that we have, or some this power, uh, we can see the demon, making sure it's actually there. I mean that it's just a physical being right now. I mean that it's not supernatural. It's just science that people aren't aware of yet. I think that'd be really funny to go back and back with them, right? But outside of that aspect of a character, let's actually get into more like different aspect. I think she would be specialized in forensics. I do think that she would just be like overall smart person overall, especially with coding and forensics. But I think her two major expertise would be those two, like coding and forensics. We see that she's really good with like figuring out stuff. But because of the fact that her mother died, it just makes sense story wise. Like, okay, yeah, I guess you could say it makes sense that she like try to become like mystery solver, but like it also makes sense because she's a smart person that she would like take forensics and start doing that. So I think that'd be a cool thing to do. And if we go with like the dating Velma thing, I also like to have that aspect of her character being like potentially she want to be a cop. Like she thought about becoming a cop simply so that she can, you know, solve her mother mystery. And that's one of the things I would like to have it be a core part of the show where it's like Velma is helping these people and like solving this stuff, right? Like maybe it's later on the show, and like they bring up a point like, why is Velma like okay, like Velma, why are you doing this? Like, what good does this help you with? It doesn't really change much, and it could be revealed that like Velma learns because of some experience or whatnot, but like she thinks about it and she realizes like I'm doing it because not only do I like helping people, but also just like the not the thrill of the chase, but like I like um the brain activity and the solving part that comes when it comes to trying to figure out these cases and I like also helping people. So like the perfect two balance, right? I think that would be a cool story point to have with her. Um, another thing I would like another benefit from having her specialize in like coding and computer science, forensics, is like it helps when it comes to mystery solving, right? Because I mentioned earlier that like I would like to have them in a three-man structure for this part, and Velma would have it with Fred having a law, Daphne having person, and her having forensics. It kind of all lines up perfectly, and then we have her having the coding and Fred being really interested in engineering. Both of those line up very well. Where now you have like okay, so she can figure out DNA wise if it was like feasible for this person to be here, and then she also knows the coding that could go into this machine for their work, and Fred would know the infrastructure of the machine that would get it to work, and like they will work as a really solid shape trifecta. Yeah, trifecta. Um, and the reason I want to stretch for this is one, and when we get to Shaggy part, I would actually like Shaggy to be out of the show for a reason a bit. But also because I think it would be good for character moments and character growth. You like all these people to know Shaggy and like be like the thing that gives them each other. It's like they like Shaggy and Shaggy go missing, and then they start hanging around each other more to try to figure out stuff. And I think that could lead to a cold characteristics. It would also make for a good story point because you gotta remember the main thing that linked all these people is Shaggy. So when Shaggy come back, it's like he feel like an outsider, and I think, or I plan to make that also represented within like what role he fulfilled, where it's like a really outsider role, but he's integral to the team. But it might not seem like that on first look at around because like a pretty good team right there. But then you have what Shaggy bring to the table, I think it'd be good. And it also works for long range attacks, right? So like American long range attack should be gun, right? And my initiative could be good sharpshooter, but more importantly, a good long range attack can also just be like hacking into someone's computer or whatnot. So take for instance, let's say they're chasing you around with like this robot suit, right? How are you gonna chase me in that robot suit if you have to drive 20 miles to get here to chase me, and I hacked your car, so now you can't drive? Mm-hmm. Now you're stuck there at your house with a murder suit, and guess what's on their way? The cops. Mm-hmm. Now you're screwed. And it's like a good long range attack outside just having a gun, right? Um, also do things you could have a gun. Make her like a good archer, or not like necessarily a good archer, like a good sharpshooter, because they do have that. And if with the storyline of her potentially becoming like a detective, or like thinking about joining the cops, it would also add to the point of like, well, yeah, she would know how to use a gun. Cops know how to use guns, right? So it would add to that storyline. Um, Another intelligence that I would say is a point is engineering intelligence, but also chemistry. Like chemistry is one of those where I feel like she would have to be high up in chemistry, um, for her knowledge. Like if you want a trifecta of like, oh, what at least scientific knowledge she would have, it would be forensics, computer science, and coding. Those are. I'm not gonna get into. I'm not gonna get angry about the differences and whatnot. Um, I'd say physics. No, chemistry, physics, engineering. Engineering science is a thing. Those are like the five one that I think she should really known for, but I think she should be in everything. Actually, let me replace one of those. Um, I think you should replace physics with chemistry, not chemistry. Biology. Nah, biology could be like six. The point is, like, those are like the general gist of what she should have, because that would pretty much cover up a lot of the character traits that we see from her. Physics, covering a lot of science, and so like having this under her belt will cover a bunch of the science stuff that we get from her. There are a lot of potential storylines. I'm gonna do something real quick, but like I think this is a very good point for me. So I don't really think there's really much else to add to her character. Most of it is like the show has some potentially good ideas for her character. It was just done terribly. But yeah. So to give a rundown of the character and like what I changed. One, her mother didn't left her because she didn't like her. She left her because she didn't love her, and she figured this would be perfect time to escape. Her father, supportive but not really emotionally supportive. Um, her like his girlfriend. Uh, One could be like, oh, multiple girlfriends, and I just want to stay for long. There's no point in me being shy, so it's just awkward. Or two, I have gone so long without mom. It's awkward for you to be here. The baby, depending on how long the show lasts and how much time passed, the baby could be used for like internal relationship issues in the family. Like you're the daughter of a killer, and you're the daughter of a bad word. I'm not gonna say. Uh, but yeah, like it can lead to good, argument point from there. Velma character, she for job choices, like she should be contemplating becoming a cop. I think she probably would become like a cop to some degree, probably a detective. But then you also have her having a side job of like selling books and whatnot. Um, she should be top, like really smart, but should be specialized in like forensics, physics, biology, chemistry, computer science, engineering. Like those are like the things that she should be really good at. She could have panic attacks, and the way she suffered the panic attacks is with marijuana provided to her by Shaggy, aka Shaggy Dad, just trust him and give the weed to him so that it could get to Velma. And um, the dad is a therapist, like Shaggy Dad's therapist. Those are all like the main changes I can think off the top of my head. That would make to a character. I think that this would make a more interesting storyline. But let me know what you think in the comment below. I'm gonna at Roanoke Games, no, Roanoke Tales, because that would be a good thing to add. I don't watch it. I want to. I'm going to, but like I haven't watched one yet. Because I'm gonna be honest, I like learning spooky stuff. But I also don't like it. Like I don't like waking up like thinking like, what if I get killed next time I walk outside my house? I don't like that. But yeah, I'll see y'all next time. And remember, if you're gonna write, try to write it good. And if not, write it as shitty as you can so that someone can make fun of it. Peace.